on 4th and 5? Josh Throne here with DJ Williams. I wanted to start off this episode to talk about a few things and just come straight out the gate and address a few things that have been on our plate lately. This show, when we started it, we decided that we wanted to be real. We wanted to be raw. We wanted to tell the truth. We wanted to make sure that we weren't like a lot of the other shows that we may have seen growing up. We wanted to call it out when we saw it. We wanted to give praise and congratulations when people did good. Both of us played for Arkansas. One played a little bit better than the other, but we both put on that helmet, and we both want to see the Arkansas Razorbacks do good. We want to see the players perform at an extremely high level. Yeah. We both played under Bobby Petrino, and we saw what it's like when coaches as a whole, as an entire staff, hold their players to a certain level of expectation for perfection, even though you can't always be perfect. No doubt. Recently, we've inquired with a few different players to do some interviews just to get a feel for how things are going. And, well, without saying too much, they didn't like some of the stuff we may or may not have been saying here recently. And I can understand that. I can understand feeling some type of way when you're being critiqued from time to time. But I wanted to ask you, DJ, coming out the gate, where do you stand on this? How do you feel about our show as a whole? And how do you want players at the University of Arkansas who might come across our content, how do you want them to take it?
Yeah, it's an interesting space that we're in, being former players and also trying to pursue, a career in the media aspect. A lot of former players do it. We love it, but us being so closely tied to the game, it's hard for us not to be, I wouldn't say necessarily opinionated, but just tell you how we really feel and how the conversations that are happening in the locker room that most people don't get to see. And so, yeah, when I heard about some players, saying what they had to say about me, I don't mess with that DJ guy. He always got something bad to say. And I'm over here, like, why are you even caught up in that in the first place? And if it is because I did wear that helmet and had that hog and you think I'm supposed to just, say something good because I was a former Razorback, don't get it twisted. I still care about these guys. And like you said, Josh, we want the best for them. But let's be real. If you expect praise when you are underperforming, you ain't going to get it from me. It just ain't coming. And there's a fine line between being like, throwing shade at people and having hate toward these players. That ain't the case at all. It's literally on the tape. And sometimes when it hurts your feelings, and we say it all the time when we do our breakdowns, hey, this may make some people sensitive or rub people the wrong way. Most of the time that it really digs deep, it's because it's the truth. And I say that from experience. I've been in the exact same shoes. So I would say, guys, if you're listening, I used to say if they're listening now, we only say this out of a place of, if you're okay with 4-8, if you're okay with some of the stuff we've seen on the field, I just don't apologize because I don't think anybody should be okay with that. But if you want to get better, then you're going to have people in your corner who's going to tell you the truth, even if it hurts. But when it comes to that, Josh, and DJ always got something bad to say, just look at this tape. Here, I'll press play right here. You tell me if this is okay. Your quarterback just getting dogged, offensive lineman on the line, nobody going there to help your bro out. Mizzou dancing on the field. Your home turf, last game of the year. Another one right here, poor protection, give up a fumble, wide open guys strolling into the end zone. Josh, this is just one game. It's one game, Josh. Another one right here. Running back gets tackled for a loss. You tell me, what am I supposed to say good about this? 2-on-1. Those two offensive linemen against that one guy from Missouri, throws them both out of the way, gets a tackle for a loss, and then he gets up and flex on your field. And then another one right here. I mean, a guy completely unblocked. Ooh. What am I supposed to say? If you want me to give an encouraging word after watching that, it ain't coming from me, Josh. It ain't going to change. And the only reason I say that, there's two types of players when it comes to the game of football. Everyone's going to make mistakes. We get that. Now, when you get coached up and you get criticized and you have people trying to tell you that there's room for improvement, you have players that can take that, grow, be stronger and better for it, or you got the players that will fold. You got some players who want to just transfer. I mean, we're seeing it all unfold as we speak. We're going to talk about the transfer portal here in a second. And Josh, the thing is, I am never going to be someone who is going to sit on a high horse or have a conversation from some ivory tower. I've been in their shoes before. The reason I say that, I mean, take a look at this as I press play right here. This is back in 2010, one of my worst games ever. A game where we're being very competitive against Texas A&M. False start, team captain, number 45. That's a 5-yard penalty. A great run right here by Broderick Green. He gets just about the first down. Great play. Hold up. A flag on the play. Holding. Yet again, your team captain. 10-yard penalty. It's 1st and 20. I mean, I've been there, Josh, but listen to this. I'm just going to keep this thing rolling. The very next play. 1st and 20. You know what? Let's go and go back to our captain. We're going to hit him right here wide open over the middle. He drops the ball. I dropped the ball. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You see me turn around real quick? Let me pause it. That's my best friend, Wade Grayson. And he is chewing my ass out. Yeah. And that's my boy, Josh. You know,
that's right.
I didn't have to wait to get to the sideline. I didn't have to hear it from a coach. It came from within the team. And at that moment, I did not get mad at Wade not 1 second because, man, we're all out here trying to perform at a very high level. And if your boys and people who care about the hog on the helmet can't call you out for bad play, and the reason they call you out, Josh, is because they know you can do better.
Do better. That's right.
If they knew you were trash, they wouldn't waste time even trying to talk to you. But we know these guys can do better. And that was me. That's Mr. John Mackey Award winner, best tight end in the country, playing like trash. Yeah. And so we've been there before, Josh. And that's what I really like most about this show. In the future, we would love to have some players come on and talk about some real authentic stuff. But, yeah, I just want players at the University of Arkansas to be cut from a different cloth. I want them to have thick skin, man, and own your mistakes. That's the only way to get better for it, Josh. So all that being said, we're always going to keep it 100 here on the show, myself and Josh included. We ain't out here to try to hate on anybody or hurt anyone's feelings. We just call it how it is. That being said, Josh, transfer portal. It's chaos right now.
It is chaos.
Is mayhem. And
I want to touch on something before we transfer into a different topic.
Yeah.
You know, everything you just said, I think, comes back to culture within the team. Culture. Absolutely. And the way that the coaches establish what their expectation is, what they tell the captains and the other players that their expectation is. Yeah. And when you have that, when you go through that level of grind every single day and that level of expectation from your leadership every single day, it trickles down into your teammates, into your friends, into your best friend on the field screaming at you that way. The reality is let's just be real. There was times in practice where what I had going on over on the scout team, you know, in most people's minds doesn't mean anything. But you better believe that everyone there cared every single play on scout team when Bobby Petrino was there. They took no slack. There was fights happening on the field between myself and other cornerbacks just because we were so angry at each other to give each other the best look. And if I got beat and couldn't get off the line of scrimmage because Ramon Broadway is jamming me like he's playing Alabama, well, then the next time I get up on the line, we're about to fight because I'm treating it like it's a national championship game. And DJ, you've seen it. You've seen it.
I've seen it.
The reality is that wasn't just me. That was the entire organization as a whole. We treated practice that way. But when we knew at the end of the day that your teammate had your best interest at heart, just like Wade Grayson did, and you weren't afraid to take criticism because you knew, hey, my teammate, my coaches, the press, everyone out there that's criticizing me wants me to actually do the best I can do and play the best I can play. And when you have that mindset, you stop taking, insult to everything. You stop having that thin skin where you get upset about
Yeah.
what somebody might say. You just hold yourself to a higher expectation and a higher
Yeah.
level. So, and that trickles all the way down to the water boy, to be honest with you.
It
So,
does.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of people out there needed to see you haven't been perfect. There's been a lot of
No.
situations where you've fallen short, but you weren't afraid to take criticism. You weren't
No.
afraid for people to hold you accountable. And I think that's really what matters. And that's what we need to see more of. And honestly, I liked what Bobby Petrino said when he came into his first press conference at the university. He said, we're not looking back. I'm looking forward. We're putting that stuff in the rear view, and we're looking forward. And if you're playing football right now at the University of Arkansas and you don't know what you're about to get, he's telling you right now, not just that attitude and that culture, but the expectation level for him. Everything that he's seen needs to be in the rearview mirror, because you got a different coach and a different mentality now. And I'm super excited to see it. Okay.
All right, man. Starting off strong, baby. Starting off strong.
That's right.
4th and 5 coming with it. So yeah, let's get into it. Transfer portal. Let's go ahead and pull up this graphic real quick, Josh. As you can see, big names here. Obviously, I got a question mark by KJ Jefferson. Still kind of undecided. Not sure where he is.
Right.
But we got a lot of seniors. AJ Green is on there. You're going to talk more about him potentially here in a little bit. Rocket Sanders, obviously a huge name. And so when you see people like this, Josh, last year you don't talk Razorback football without talking about KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders,
right.
on the offense. And then defensively, this is a guy I kind of want to touch on real quick, and it's Chris Paul. I love this guy. I think he's great. I'm hoping something happens, and I don't know how it works. If you enter the portal, if he can come back, please.
You can come back. You can come back.
You can. I would love that, but I was just trying to, as we kind of look at some of the stats we got right here for Chris Paul, you can see coming into the season, 2023 Butkus Award watch list. You have the 2022 second team freshman, All-American, SEC freshman, all these accolades. And then you kind of go to what he did this year. Run defense, 65, tackling 76, pass rush 64, overall grade 59.2. That's according to Pro Football Scout, I believe. And I'm just saying, how does a guy come into the season with all these accolades get graded out so poorly? And I really do feel like he had a lot stacked up against him, Josh. And the reason I say that, because you could see the frustration on his face of him just needing some help. And it's affecting his play. This is where you kind of get into this interesting space with the transfer portal of understanding why guys are doing it. I think some guys do it because they legit are giving it everything they have, but at some point they want to be surrounded by guys who are willing to do the same thing. And when you constantly are begging these guys, take it serious, take it serious, take it serious, they're not taking it serious, starts to affect the whole team and really your future as far as pursuing professional sports, which I know Chris Paul will have one day. So when you get in that space, it gets difficult, because sometimes it allows you to maybe understand why they would maybe want to say, I've tried my best. I want to be surrounded by guys who want to put in the work with me. And then you have guys who just, things aren't working out the way they wanted to work out. Get their feelings hurt here or there. Excuse. I'll just go somewhere and be an All-American. We'll see how that plays out. But when I look at Chris Paul, let's go ahead and take a look at some tape right here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This play right here, obviously the running back from Missouri, phenomenal talent. But Arkansas really made it an easy day for him. There's a linebacker right here. This should be an easy outside fit with his shoulder right here. But he just takes a poor angle, goes inside. And then another thing I want to look at, this is where the mentality is starting to come up. Landon Jackson, number 40, look at him. He's just jogging. Seems like he doesn't care. And this is one of your leaders. He has a C on his chest, just jogging. Another one right here, this corner tried to make a play, slipped out of his responsibility. And you can see Chris Paul pointing at him like, what are you doing? What are y'all doing? You can see the frustration as I press pause right there. And then another one right here, just look at the defense. There's a lot of confusion before the snap. No one knows what to do. And as a player like Chris Paul, when you're on a field with what seems are things that are so fixable and so avoidable, it's difficult when you're just like, can somebody please get on board with me? You sent me an article from SportsCenter, Josh, And
Sports
a couple
Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated, yes, and a couple
Yeah.
other people said, DJ, what did you say to make Chris Paul leave? I said, what are you talking about? And so his dad posted
No.
something. Yeah, his dad posted something. He saw our post game on 4th and 5, and a lot of people were giving Chris Paul some heat, saying he's just leaving because he's chasing the money. I don't think that's who he is. I think he's a competitor, and he wants to be on a team full of people who can buy in just like him. And his
That's right.
dad alluded to it, saying, don't believe the BS. And then he put in a clip saying, this is why my son is leaving. And it was us kind of pointing that out. And
Right.
so for someone like that, Josh, it's hard not to understand. But at the same time, Chris Paul, if you're watching and you can come back, man, I really do feel like with the changes that are going to be made, and I think a lot too, Josh, has changed in Sam Pittman himself of not necessarily trying to be buddy anymore with his players on his team. I think some changes are coming, and they're coming quick. It's just this is the time of the year where you're going to see the portal is going to continue to maybe have guys that are all in or not.
Right. He's got a real unique case because, like you said, he's not a guy who you want to transfer. He's not a guy that had an effort problem. He's not a guy that has a talent problem. And I think his dad was shedding some light on the real situation, and he was highlighting that clip where you're talking about just some of the effort level and the care and the desire and the post game, nonchalantness after you just get dominated by another
Yeah.
team. Football is a team sport. So if you're a linebacker, your performance and your film and your draft stock can be reliant on how well your defensive line is, how well your other linebackers play, how well whether you win games or not. I mean, your record matters a lot in these situations. And so, I can understand him being frustrated. And then if you add all that kind of elements of losing games and just not having quite the team, the chemistry around you that you want, the high level execution around you that you want, you look around to some of these other organizations that are winning games, that are playing at a really high level. You're going, hey, look, if everybody's doing their job over there, I can step in and actually show out. And then you do that, you do it on a winning team, all of a sudden your draft stock increases, and you really kind of cement yourself for your first contract into the NFL in a lot better state.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a lot of guys that are transferring here that don't have anything to do with the NFL, and I don't even think they should be thinking about the NFL. So what do you think about some of the other transfers?
Obviously, Rocket Sanders entering the portal, a huge name, like I said, and we've loved Rocket. We love what he's done for this team, dealing with injuries, struggling with that, and still trying to bounce back. Change of offensive coordinator, and things just not seeming to kind of fall his way. Where he goes, I'd be very interested to see. But man, it's just, I would say over the past 2 years, Josh, the amount of team captains that are choosing to leave. I mean, this goes back to Joe Fouché going to LSU, Jalen Catalon going to Texas, who is now transferring. Imagine that. Then you have, Rocket Sanders, and just the uncertainty of the face of the program in KJ Jefferson. I mean, there's two ways this works out. If he's taking his time trying to figure out if he wants to transfer or not, that's a whole different dynamic than if he's taking his time to see if he wants to go to the NFL or not. I've said this from the get-go. I don't think he's ready for that, and I think he's going to do better financially staying in college football. Then that just comes down to the case. One is, what conversations is he having with Bobby Petrino, and what's that look like as far as him as a player? Obviously, we want KJ to do what is best for him, so he's going to see his other options. But, Josh, I think if it comes down to KJ taking his time and trying to have a bidding war between, hey, if you want me to stay, then it's going to cost this, or I'm going to go here. I just don't see, after the way things have unfolded, of boosters or the new collective saying, okay, yeah, we'll give you this $1 million, this 1.5, because we saw an interview from a Nebraska coach. They said that's what it's taking nowadays to get quarterbacks. And I just don't know how the NIL works, Josh. I don't know how much money they have to spend on players. But if he's trying to get that type of money, I don't see that working out. But like I said, big fan of KJ. Hope it works out. I'm curious too, Josh. One of the most decorated quarterback when it comes to stats of all time for the University of Arkansas. There's no doubt about that. If he leaves, does that change the persona of he's our quarterback or Razorback, or do Razorback fans say,
It
okay, we're done
100%
with him?
does.
Yeah.
It 100% does. And I was going to go into that a little bit because I think that if you're KJ Jefferson right now, if I was a friend of his, if I could give him some advice, if I was in his family and I was able to tell, hey, this is what I think you should do, as I look at it like this, you broke every record in Arkansas as is. Are you the most beloved Arkansas quarterback of all time right now? No, because we've kind of had some down seasons. If we would have had a bunch of winning seasons, he probably would be. But you know how wins follow love. It just typically always follows that way in the fans' mind. But nonetheless, he's a household name now here in Arkansas. So I would tell him out of love, the NFL is not a sure thing for you. So you need to be thinking about your insurance, right? And I don't mean insurance for injury or insurance for a payout if he doesn't go. I'm thinking about his plan B. Well, how do I make the most out of KJ Jefferson and what I've done on this field last forever? This is the same thing that guys do when they're in the NFL. When they know that they're phasing out, you've been a quarterback for a long time in the NFL, and you're phasing out, and maybe you do or you don't have retirement money, but what's that life after football going to look like for you as KJ Jefferson, right? You can see the way it's planned out for a bunch of different NFL quarterbacks. The good thing about Arkansas is, though, KJ, is that we don't have an NFL team. You are playing at the height of heights here in Arkansas. You are the NFL team, so to speak. So you're a household name here, and you can make life after football look really, really good here. You can come back and play one more year. I'm not even sure, I'm not going to get into all the, is he going to start if he comes back? Would Bobby Petrino use him, or are they ready to move on? I don't want to get into any of that just now. I want to talk about if he came back and let's say he did play. You ride off on a horse here in Arkansas, being the record-setting quarterback, the guy who's been here, hopefully the guy that gets us back going into the right direction under the Bobby Petrino offensive coordinator era, and we start actually progressing in the right way. Then guess what happens? Let's say NFL doesn't happen, because he's going to take a vacation there. He's put up enough stats in the SEC. He has enough good plays that he will take a vacation in the NFL no matter what. Whether he progresses and actually becomes an NFL quarterback, or he just vacations there for a couple seasons as a practice squad guy and then kind of phases out. I think that when you do phase out of football, if you stay here in Arkansas, you can turn your career into being I don't know if he's the type of guy that's going to go on camera and speak and do that kind of thing. But you know what he can do is he can sign a deal with an air conditioning company that's going to use his face and his name and his brand, and he's going to be cooling everybody's houses all through Northwest Arkansas.
No doubt.
And he will make money. He'll make $500,000 a year if he plays his cards right forever. Being KJ Jefferson with cooling and heating company, he ain't got to do anything but smile, grin, and keep your house cool. And he will have a career forever here in Northwest Arkansas, which I think that players at that age, they don't look past football. And I'm just using that as a joke, but I'm saying from a marketing perspective, you've seen all the different things that players do after, one of my favorite ones was of Clint Sterner when he did the Coleman Dairy commercials. I used to love that scene out of him. But I'm just saying that this is the type of thought that you need to put into your brand, because if you do leave, you're still always going to be loved, KJ. I promise you that. But if you leave, it's a different type of feeling. And honestly, staying here and retiring as a Razorback here, finishing your career as a Razorback is something that does go a long way for your life after football. And that's something that I think guys need to think about.
I think too, with KJ and his decision, this is another one, Josh, where I'm kind of like on the fence because, different coordinator, now the third coordinator he's going to have. And the amount of knowledge that you have to make a Petrino offense work, it's going to be a lot to try to just learn in 1 year. You got to think Ryan did very well when he first started because he had to sit out a whole year transferring from Michigan to learn the offense. Casey Dick went through 4 offensive coordinators this whole year, still was trying to get that thing figured out, barely got it by the end of the year figured out. And so there's a lot of variables into KJ saying, what can I do most with my last year of eligibility if he chooses to stay in college football? So I see why he would be having that. A lot of people bring up the Lamar Jackson situation. and saying, well, if he can do it with Lamar, he can do it with KJ. Lamar was a different dude. All right. I mean, athletically, you got to think this is a Heisman guy. There's
Right.
always the fastest dude on the field, most explosive, quick. KJ doesn't have that to his game. He's more of a big bruising type quarterback, athletic for sure. But to do well in a Petrino offense, it's going to cost him to sit in the pocket behind a very questionable offensive line. You got to know he's thinking about that. And just learn a very complex offense with so many different schemes and personnels, that thing takes time. And so for him, he's like, am I going to do all this just to bomb this last year, or am I going to go somewhere and try to make some money? Will Rogers, the quarterback of Mississippi State, entering the transfer portal. That's his home state. You can see that being a destination. I've heard things about South Carolina, Dow Loggins, the offensive coordinator there.
Right.
I heard Rocket may be interested in that as well. So players usually tend to go to places where they know coaches on the staff that are their boys and they'll take care of them.
Well,
and I know a lot of people.
Let's not forget about TCU. Let's not forget about TCU.
Yeah,
because that's always a place where he doesn't have to go in and relearn anything.
No.
He'll fit right in. And Kendall Browse is very familiar with them. Hey, and they got a lot of money down there in Texas. I went to the stadium not too long ago.
They got it.
TCU, when you talk about being able to write an NIL check and getting it paid, but again, I just keep coming back to that life after football and what that means here in Arkansas. I just don't think it's the smartest move for him.
Yeah, we'll say this, and KJ, if you're listening to this, and other players, I can't speak for the defensive side of the ball, Josh, but offensively, you have a guy in Bobby Petrino. Man, he's going to push you. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. He's not going to slap you on the back and make you feel special by any means, but I promise you, if you can figure out a way to put all that to the side, take that as coaching, man, you're going to be a phenomenal football player from it. We've seen it time in and time out. It's just going to take the team coming together, having each other's back, and getting through that. Josh, games were a walk in the park compared to a Bobby Petrino practice. And so, obviously, the dynamic's going to be a lot different because he's not the head coach. It's still Pittman's show. We are going to, for sure, start dedicating more of these 4th and 5 podcasts to the man in charge. It's just this is new with Petrino, so we're trying to give some insight. Coming up later, too, I'm actually going to have an interview from a coach who went off and did very well, the offense coordinator, a finalist for offense coordinators of the year, assistant coaches of the year. They're going to come on the show and talk about what it was like playing under Bobby Petrino. And so future guests as well, potential players on the team, if we don't hurt their feelings or not, we're just going to keep it real. But you may also, too, you may have some insight from a guy who's going through this change right now as far as a big-time name at the University of Arkansas, but things are changing, and they're deciding to go ahead and transfer as well. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I might be sitting down here soon with AJ Green. I wanted to be able to bring that to you guys just so y'all could hear straight from him. It's going to be a real raw, candid, non-scripted type of interview. I just told him that, hey, listen, we appreciate what you've done here at the University of Arkansas. We want to send you out the right way. We want to share, you'd be able to share your thoughts and your feelings about the fans and your experience here. But I like AJ Green. I think he's a great guy, number one, off the field. And I'm not mad about the transfer that he's doing. He's talented. He can play. The opportunity wasn't necessarily coming here in the way that he needed it to come here. And I have a soft spot for running backs because I saw Michael Smith, was a good friend of mine when he was running back here, man, and he got ran like a workhorse in 2008 and tore his hamstrings up, and pro football never quite transpired for him in the way that he wanted it to. And so when it comes to running backs, you got a time limit. There's a lot of wear and tear on your body. And I want to be able to see these guys get the film that they need to make sure that they go to the NFL. I mean, Michael had a 1,200-yard season, I think, or a 1,000-yard season. I'm not sure exactly how many yards, but, to see a guy like that kind of get his muscles ran off the bone because he was a third down back and he was getting used different. But I could go down that rabbit hole. But so we're going to talk with AJ Green. And be able to hopefully hear from him a little bit more about this whole transfer and then also just his time here at the university.
Yeah, and viewers, if you don't mind, below when you comment, send them some questions you might want to hear. And like I said, as much as we love to have these guys on, don't get it twisted. We're always going to be a player-first source of your media, so never going to jeopardize anybody. Players, if you're listening, you want to come on the show, we're not going to ask you to divulge the locker room talk or secrets of this or that. We trust me, we get that, but there are some
Right.
things that I think we can address and be real about at the same time.
And I do want to touch back on the quarterback situation. We just kind of left it there with KJ leaving. One of my main thoughts about that is I think that we've got a hidden gem in Jacoby Criswell. I'm not, I love KJ. It'd be awesome to see him come back, but if he leaves, that's the big question mark. How much does that really affect the University of Arkansas? With Bobby Petrino coming in again at offensive coordinator, being able to have a guy like Jacoby Criswell that can throw the ball 70 plus yards down the field in a tight spiral with ease. I've seen him do it. It's pretty impressive. His knowledge of the game, he's a really, really sharp guy. I think that his knowledge of football in general and his upbringing in the sport and his high school offense is going to translate much easier to Bobby Petrino's offense. And I just think that he's mobile enough for Bobby to work with as well. So I think you kind of get everything you want. But from a passing perspective, I truly believe Jacoby Criswell is kind of going to get Bobby Petrino extremely excited to be able to use. So would love to see KJ stay, but I just don't think we're falling off too far if Jacoby stays. And we've got other quarterbacks that are coming to take a look at us here soon. I was just reading I think yesterday that Taylon Green, Boise State quarterback, a guy that actually has a history with Bobby Petrino from high school. Bobby was recruiting him at one point, is actually coming on a visit here. So, we talked a lot about KJ. I'd love for him to come back. But from a football perspective and moving forward, I don't think that we're going to miss it in the fashion that you typically would when a guy like KJ leaves your organization.
All right, as we wrap this up, let's give some shout-outs. What do you think? Big shout-out to, we got O-lineman Joshua Braun, Landon Jackson, all SEC second team by the AP.
Heck yeah.
We got Landon Jackson first team all SEC. I'm trying to figure out what source that's from.
How about that tight end?
I'm
Luke
getting
Hall.
there. I'm getting there.
I wanted to say it.
I'm getting there. Hold on. Max Fletcher, second team all SEC. Cam Little, first team. Big shout out to him, declaring for the draft. Expect him to be one of the first kickers taken off the board. Let's get to your freshman All-American. First team. All right, we got two of them.
Let's go.
We got an honorable mention with Jalen Braxton. He had the strip 6, we're going to call it, up there in Florida. And then Luke Haws, first team freshman All-American, freshman tight end of the year. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm a tight end.
Is tight end you back? Are we back with Luke?
Oh, we've been back. What you talking about? Yeah, we back, baby. No, very excited for him. Obviously, he had the shoulder injury. Just a great kid. But don't sleep on him. The thing that I'm most excited about for Luke is he's going to be pushed in that room. There's a lot of talented guys still on that roster in that tight end position, and that's the best recipe to just iron sharpens iron, get better. Expect Luke to emerge as a leader. Another shout out, Rashad Depinion. I saw a post he put out saying, I miss college football back in the days when there was no transfer portal. I mean, no knock on the guys leaving, but there is something cool about that as well. So, like I said, I know these guys all love each other. There's a lot of love. They hate to see them go. Some understand they're going, but that's just the landscape we're in nowadays, Josh. And so, free agency, it's chaos. A lot to talk about.
It is chaos.
And we're going to keep you updated. It's just a moving wheel. One thing we are going to focus on is what we think that offense is going to look like. We just unfortunately need to wait to see what pieces are still going to be here and which ones are not. Still a lot of changes. I expect to see still more on the staff as well. So, Josh, a lot to talk about. We always appreciate everybody tuning in and watching 4th and 5. Any last thoughts?
No, I just want to say, look, guys, if there's anything specifically that you want us to touch on, give our opinion on, talk about between ourselves, leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. We can't cover everything in 34 minutes, so hopefully you guys leave us some comments down there in the comment section, because we'd love to engage with you, figure out what we're missing, what we should be talking about. But man, we look forward to doing the show this offseason, trying to keep up with everything. So many moving parts. It keeps the offensive side. Hey, during the season, I was talking to DJ. I said, hey, what are we going to do in the offseason? I don't really want to talk basketball. You know?
We got big
what
plans.
What are we going to do with football? Well, now the Now the transfer portal's here, baby. It keeps you talking the whole time.
Transfer portal. We also going to big on recruiting. Going to go see some of these recruits in person, work out
That's
with
right.
them, put them through some training. They're going to get a 4th and 5 grade, 1 to 5 stars. Let you know how that goes. See if we can give them that stamp of approval moving forward. That should be fun. Also, Josh, if you are a subscriber, a viewer of this podcast, also stay tuned. We're going to start sprinkling in some live location podcasts where we're going to have a couple of people that could show up and be a part of the audience and be a part of the show, ask some questions. So like I said, we got big things coming for 4th and 5. And as always, man, we really appreciate the support. Always continue to share this, comment. Please like these videos, subscribe. That's most appreciated so we can go ahead and keep this thing up and running. But for now, I'm DJ Williams. That's Josh Throne. You're watching 4th and 5.